With my brain still unable to let go of Sandman, I've done another read watch since and screamed like a banshee when the bonus episode was released 2 Fridays ago. I figured I could take it a step further and take the trip down memory lane to look at my top 10 absolute best book adaptations. Now, some of these picks are movie adaptations and some of them are TV show adaptations, but what they all have in common is that I've read the books they are based on, I've seen the movie or TV show, and I absolutely love them both because it's so good. So if an adaptation you think is phenomenal didn't make the list, then it's probably because I've either not read the book yet and can't in good conscience decide whether or not the adaptation is a favorite of mine, or maybe I have read the book but I haven't gotten around to seeing the adaptation yet. Also to note that these aren't arranged in any order. I didn't put my absolute favorite at number 1 or 10. I just basically put them all together because these adaptations all own a part of my soul, and there is no ranking to be had or made when your soul's involved. And so therefore, to kick things off, we'll start with the first adaptation on the list, and that is of course, drum roll please, Sandman. I mean, is anyone surprised at this point? Of course, Sandman is the first name out of the bat, from the casting to the creative choices taken within the story, to their understanding and upholding of the central story and plot, which I know some of you are probably thinking like, that's the basics. Of course, they have to keep the spirit of what they're adapting and maintain the plot. But alas, I have watched adaptations that so completely miss the roads they should be courses offered on them on how to destroy the audience's expectations and have the whole world hate you with every fiber of their being. Which, if you would like to see my top 10 worst book adaptations video, drop that request in the comments. I will get right to filming it. But anyway, back to the magnificence of Sandman and the fact that not only did they keep in mind that they need to maintain the story and ensure that they're able to bring Neil Gaiman's vision to life, a benefit of Neil being an executive producer on the project, but also in the instances within the story when they take certain liberties and change things slightly, it still fits brilliantly well with the story being told in a way that doesn't seem out of place or forced in any way. And that can only be done when you not only love the source material, but trust and believe in it enough to satisfy the cravings of old fans who want to see their beloved stories adapted for screen, and new ones who have zero context about what to expect and are quite thrilled about it. My second adaptation on my list is neither a movie nor a TV show. It is instead another medium that I personally love because it's a whole other experience, especially when it's produced properly. I am of course referring to audio dramas, and the book with an audio drama I adore to pieces, to death and back to life again has to be Moda Azushi, also called The Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation by Mogse and Tongzu, that's MXTX, who writes Danmei, which are stories that center two men in love. And these two men, Wei Wuxian and Lang Wangji, are two of my favorite characters in fiction. They are one of my absolute favorite couples in fiction, and although I love Moda Azushi in as many forms as it's been given to me, and so far I've read the translated novel and the manhwa, that is the comics, I've watched the live action adaptation, The Untamed, and was glued to my seats when the dongwa, that is the animated story, was released. And of all these various adaptations, my absolute favorite is still the audio drama produced by Polar Penguin Studios in 2018. The way they bring the story to such vivid light using various sounds, the eeriness of the burial mound sounds quite different from the peaceful serenity of Gusu, and is different from the joyful boisterous hair of Yumong. Location sounds help to situate you in the story, and they do this brilliantly well in the audio drama. But that's not the only thing they get right. The voice actors are spot on, the directing that brings out the very best of the story being told in a way that I've spent hours listening and re-listening to the drama over and over again. The integrity of the story is maintained, the nuances of the characterization is noticeable, the magic of the world is kept. Definitely an adaptation that deserves a lot of love. And yes, I like Zhao Zhan's Wei Wuxian and Wang Yinbo's Lang Wangji, but honestly they do not compare to Lu Xingjin and Wei Chao, who voiced the audio drama. And before the fans of The Untamed come for me, I'm not saying that The Untamed didn't have its good points or that the dongwa wasn't visually pleasing, but hands down the best adaptation of the story is the audio drama. Now, the third adaptation on my list is a Thai BL that's a boys love drama called Manner of Death. that stars Max Natapol and Tol Parkon and is based off of a novel with the same name by Salmon, a writer who is quite famous for the mature themes he explores in his stories and how he brings his experience in medicine into telling his stories. And if you couldn't guess, Manner of Death basically follows a medical examiner trying to follow the threads and discover the person responsible for the death of a friend. I'm not going to say more than that because I do want this video to be spoiler free, and I think that with all the twists and turns present in Manner of Death, it really is important that you go into the story unaware of what's coming, as it makes everything hit really well. But yeah, as I was saying, from the casting to the photography and the choices the director made with regards to the lens and lighting he used to give the whole show this grey, moody look that fits the story we were experiencing to a T. You could see that everyone involved in producing Manner of Death respected Salmon's work and wanted to represent it to the best of their abilities. And at a time when a lot of Thai BL were really school focused, having a story about mature people with mature problems written by someone who was writing what he knew, Manner of Death was a drama that had me hooked all the way through. For the 14 episodes that the show ran, I held my breath and put everything on hold to see it to completion, which is crazy when you think about it, because I'd already bought and read the novel on Meb, and even though I knew what to expect, the director still put me in a couple of twists and turns that had me hanging on the edge of my seat. But that was still believable within the story being told, which honestly is fantastic in my book. Then there's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which was adapted from the novel of the same name by Jenny Ann. Now, I'm sure everyone can agree with me that the first movie was the best. P.S. I Still Love You lost a bit of steam and didn't know what he wanted to do and just rushed things at the end. And Always and Forever was okay. It wasn't bad, but I didn't really feel great about it either. But To All the Boys I Loved Before, that adaptation was like, it was shot straight into my veins and I was riding the high of it all. I loved the characters. I thought the casting was spot on. I loved how light and fun the entire story was. It didn't deviate much from the book, which was good because I enjoyed the book and I didn't want them to ruin a good thing. And they didn't. And in fact, gave me the best adaptation for the story that I could have asked for. And I just sometimes flash back to 2018 when the movie first came out. I'd gone to get my hair braided way before I decided to lock my hair. And whilst they were braiding the hair, I was smiling like a fool the whole day. It was a joy to watch, and it still is every time I've gone back to rewatch it since, and trust me, it's been a lot. Now, honestly, I told myself that I was only going to put one author's adapted book on the list so that nobody takes up too much space and pushes others out, but alas, I can't help it. When one of your favorite writers is Neil Gaiman, and although he gave us the strong start that is American Gods, which filled me with hope and then slowly fizzled out as the remaining seasons just went on a downward spiral, having a gem of a story like Good Omens, a book I'd read and reread and loved and was quite hesitant about seeing adapted because I didn't want them to destroy the story, only for me to binge watch it in a day on Amazon Prime and then immediately reset and start all over again. Even now, when I reread the book and hold her gorgeousness in my hands and immerse myself in the pages of her existence, I still see David Tennant as Crowley and Michael Sheen as Aziraphale. Those two have so cemented themselves as the characters that I cannot see anybody else in the roles. But other than the roles, at this point, I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but it bears repeating. Good Omens took what existed and was brilliant and built on it, adding extra dialogue and interactions that just blow up the story and makes it more expansive. Add on the bits of the story that they tweaked slightly and made even better. For example, the appearance of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It's brilliant. I can't wait for season 2. I know they'll be going out of novel territory because Neil and Terry Pratchett never got the chance to write the follow-up story before Terry Pratchett passed, but Neil did admit that they had discussed it and outlined it, so I have hope that it's going to be great and I can't wait. Now, 6th on the list is The Magicians, adapted from the novel by the same name by Lev Grossman. Now, here is where I show my true colors as the hypocrite I am, because the Magician TV show took so much liberties with the story and changed it so much. It's almost completely different from the books. But see, they made the story better. The same cannot be said for a lot of adaptations that are like Story Who. The characters are not as whiny. It's not centered around the self-insert white male character as it's done in the books. And it's so much fun. Way better. It reimagined, reinterpreted, reassembled a somewhat okay story into absolute addictive perfection. Now, am I still very much miffed at the way they ended season 4, at the creative choices they made? Yes. Yes, I am. I think I will never forgive the showrunners for making that choice. I will forever resent them for it. And the fact that they just kept plugging away with season 5 like nothing had happened. The audacity. But no matter how pissed I am, I still think that The Magicians is a brilliant and a terrific adaptation. Now, would I be Noria, a vocal lover of all things Jane Austen, if I don't put a Jane Austen adaptation on this list? And although I have quite a few adaptations I adore, there's the 1995 and 2005 Pride and Prejudice adaptations, there's Bride and Prejudice with Ashura Rai, the 1995 Sense and Sensibility adaptation with Emma Thompson, Kate Winslet, Hugh Grant, and the late Alan Rickman, rest in peace king, the 2007 Northanger Abbey with Felicity Jones. I think we've had so many amazing adaptations, but just because of the sheer beauty of it, the adaptation I'm putting on this list is absolutely the 2020 Emma adaptation starring Anna Taylor-Joy, who played her role as Emma Woodhouse brilliantly well. And I know Johnny Flynn's Mr. Knightley was way too young. I mean, there's a significant difference in their ages in the book, but yet I loved him in it. His little smiles, the looks of adoration when Emma couldn't see it, but we knew he was pining, scrumptious. But yeah, the casting was amazing, the color palette. Autumn the Wild was like, I'm gonna give you a feast for your eyes and thank you for your service because my eyes were blessed. Yes, I know it's not the perfect adaptation, but it had the right amount of cheek and sass and just fun. It's a fun adaptation that I absolutely adore and rewatch. Yes, it has stopped my rewatch of Keira Knightley's run as Elizabeth Bennet, but I think it's also because I have a soft spot for Emma and her meddling, good-natured ways. And like I said, Anna Taylor-Joy did her justice. Now, from the brightness of Emma, we delve into the darkness and perfection that is Netflix's Jessica Jones. And yes, I know it's now on Disney Plus because they have reclaimed all their Marvel properties from other streaming platforms, but the nostalgia of watching it on Netflix for the very first time will forever stay with me. Kristen Ritter is Jessica Jones. Her actions, her mannerisms, the way she brought that character to life. I've loved Jessica Jones since Alias. I think that Brian Michael Bendis writes his characters like they're adults who would appeal to adults. There's no hand-holding, no watering down. His characters are troubled and human and lost, and Jessica Jones is all these things and more. So when the announcement for the TV adaptation was made and it was stated that she was coming to Netflix and they were going to keep the gritty undertones of the world and the story, I was ready and I was well fed. I repeat, this adaptation is fantastic, especially season 1. David Tennant's Kilgrave gave me the chills I got from the comics. Jessica was hard-hitting, hard-drinking, gave zero fucks, and I loved every moment of it. You know when you love a story so much and it comes to life before your very eyes and you wonder exactly what good deeds you had done in your previous life to be blessed with such an adaptation? That was me every minute of this show. And yes, season 2 wasn't as strong as season 1, but the show as a whole was a ride. And for the second to the last adaptation, and I'm sure nobody's going to be surprised if you really think about it, but I'm going with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, all brought to us by the brilliant and daring mind of Peter Jackson. I mean, the movies are beloved for a reason. They capture the wonder and brilliance and just awe of the books. They define the generation, they define me. From the visual effects to the casting to the score to the directing, this adaptation was clearly a labor of love that sought to get the story right, and I'm just in awe. I rewatch it practically every year. They are my comfort movies. I watch behind the scenes videos of the cast. Just joy. I feel so much joy when I watch it, and when I think of it as an adaptation, it's brilliant, fucking brilliant. I want to be a hobbit in my next life, not an elf, not a dwarf, a hobbit. And finally, the last adaptation on my list is from the brilliant mind of Stephen King. Now, before you think The Shining, although I enjoyed that movie, it's not the one, nor is it it. No, my pick for favorite Stephen King adaptation is none other than The Shawshank Redemption. Gods. The first time I watched this movie, it was recommended to me by my boss who loves movies. I remember sitting in front of my TV, just awed and shocked and screaming. Gods, the way I screamed at the end of the film. And then I ran straight to the book, and although I could see that quite a significant number of changes were made, The Shawshank Redemption is still that girl, no matter the adaptation. I mean, sure, Red is Irish in the book, but tell me, when you went back to read the book after the movie, tell me you didn't picture Morgan Freeman in that role as it was in the movie. Tim Robbins, Andy, oof, spectacular. I won't go into any details, kind of like I didn't for any of the mentioned adaptations because no spoilers, but the twists and turns in Shawshank Redemption, chef's kiss. Stephen King and Frank Darabont did us all a service. Thank you. But yeah, those are my top 10 favorite book to movie, show, and in one case, audio drama adaptations. Let me know if any of your favorites didn't make my list so I can go check them out, because I live for great adaptations. Also, looking at my list, I can see that it's mostly populated by fantasy. Can you all guess what my favorite genre is? But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of sci-fi adaptations, which is a flaw I intend to correct soon by reading the Expanse books and then diving into the show. But yeah, that's all. If you hung in there long enough, please drop a heart emoji alongside your comment, like the video, share it so others can see it, be subscribed, and I'll see you hopefully next week. Bye.